In this paper with Davide Pierobon and Salvatore Di Falco, two of my colleague scholars, we faced this idea that people choice of sectoral allocation depends on the lack of insurance. The idea is that when times are tough in the agricultural sector, people start doing different things like non-farming enterprise and migration. So the migration channel has been exploited and looked at by Melanie Morton in the past. But we introduced this idea that non-farming enterprise actually is born out of necessity or out of insurance needs. So when we look at this, we sort of say, look, if there are weather shocks that we can classify as individual level weather shocks, what happens is that farmers decide to do potentially two other things: migrate temporarily to bigger villages or cities, or start a non-farming enterprise, typically in the neighborhood of the village. They don't really start in the same village, but actually start it or do it somewhere else nearby, where there is more potential clients. So we look at this in a very simple way. We just essentially exploit the randomized nature of weather shocks at the individual level. And then we say, well, what are the responses? And the responses tend to be both in terms of migration and in terms of non-farming enterprise. So these are non-farming enterprise are very simple things like building some bricks or doing some craft or doing some services. They don't require a large amount of initial expenditure, but they require some. The specific challenge is that, of course, when you start doing something new, you're not very good at it. And so you start learning as you go. And this learning is very important because it determines persistence in the non-farming sector. So we, with this reduced form result, what we do is that we build a model that is capable of capturing exactly those forces. And the reason why we do that is because we want to first understand what happens in different scenarios and then do counterfactual policy analysis. The reason is that in reduced form this wouldn't be possible, especially some of the reactions that you see cannot be really just understood in reduced form. So you really need a model here. And you need a model also for doing counterfactual analysis, so just proposing different policies. So what happens? Well, we're able to say that 30% or more of non-farming enterprise is born out of consumption smoothing, as I said. So if we take away uncertainty in the agricultural sector, we see that non-farming enterprise shrinks by 30%. This is basically a message that tells us a lot of non-farming enterprise output is due to just simple uncertainty in the weather profiles. Now, this is quite important because it tells us that we can do something in terms of policy. For example, we can provide weather insurance, which would insure these farmers from vagaries of weather. And the way we do it is a very simple way. We just offer essentially free weather insurance, standard weather insurance, and what we see is that the responses are actually in line with the model. But perhaps more importantly for the future, we do know that the rainfall distribution is moving to the left, so there's less rainfall in general, and this is going to be a persistent phenomenon, it seems, especially in the Indian areas where we're looking at. So when we change the distribution of weather to actually look more like what is going to happen in the next 50 years, we get the worse rainfall, and what happens there is that more people are going to move into non-farming enterprise. Now, these people learn as they go, but they're not like very good entrepreneurs to start with. So this has important implication for welfare, and the policy exercise we do are essentially in line with telling us there's going to be some form of structural transformation that is not due to differential productivity, it was actually due to insurance needs.